In Two Wheels Better tonight, Paul rides a shocking green 650 Funduro, Wayne loses his head, and Diane meets some test takers. But first, here's Jeff Stone.
Hello and welcome to Two Wheels Better. It's a beautiful sunny day and we're outside the National Motorcycle Museum at Bickenhill, which is just outside Birmingham. Today we're going to have a look at Triumphs and the beginnings of Triumphs in this museum, which in fact is a microcosm of the British motorcycle industry. But we haven't got time to look at the whole industry, we have got time to look at Triumphs, and I'll take you on a little time trip, and we'll start off with the very first Triumph in 1902. The original Triumph name goes back to 1884, when a young German, Siegfried Bettmann, founded the Triumph Company in London. In those days he was specialising in import and export of virtually anything and everything. But he recognised that there was a start of a craze in bicycles, and in 1889 he made his first bicycle. But in 1902 he made his first motorcycle, and this is it. This really was a motor and a cycle bolted together. It uses a little 2¼ horsepower Belgian Minerva engine, and as you can see down here, it is actually bolted onto the frame. Not only is the engine bolted onto the frame, but the rest of the components are all bicycle-like. If you're old enough, you can recognise the front brake here as being the centre pull type with rod operated from the handlebars pulling up on the rim. The rear brake is a hub operated brake, a back pedalling one. You just pedal backwards or held it backwards, and that has slowly slowed the back wheel down with a little bit of luck. Another bicycle part or parts are the pedals. You could actually propel yourself along with the pedals, even though it's a heavy old bicycle, but you also use them to start the machine in the first place. And here's something that you don't get on modern machines of any description. This little gadget here, you actually poured neat petrol in this little top. Just look at that, all nickel plated. Neat fuel in there, close the top, open it up, and you've got a neat dose of fuel straight on top of the piston. Then away you went, pedalling like mad. There was a minor explosion inside, and if you got it all right, the thing could actually burst into life, and off you'd go. Just look at these controls as well. For the little carburettor here, nickel-plated linkage. And look at these little levers. They've got ratchets on the back. Didn't have a twist grip or any lever on the bars. You just had to take your hand off the bars. Listen to that. Adjust that. You could probably count the number of clicks and decide whether you wanted to do 3 miles an hour or 30 miles an hour. 30 miles an hour would be very adventurous, I reckon. Equally on the other side, this little lever, this controls not only a decompressor on the exhaust valve, but also the ignition timing. And wherever you see it, nickel-plated fittings here, there and everywhere. Now there was no automatic oil feed in these days, but what you did have was an oil tank in here, and then this little plunger pump. And you'd actually open the valve and pump up the oil pressure, and you'd have to do that regularly or woe betide you, you'd have the engine seizing up. So there was a manual input, something else to think of at the time. Now coming round to the lights, these are pre-oxyacetylene lights. These are actually oil lamps from the carriage days, would you believe, and so you have to make sure you kept your wick well trimmed. Now Hughie, here's the bike that started it all, 1937 Speed Twin, the very first prototype as I understand it.
Yes, the registration looks familiar, CWK41. I think I remember seeing that very bike going down the production line at the Dale Street Works. Rumour has it that Edward Turner used to ride it, but I'm not so sure about that.
But it makes a nice story anyway.
It does, it makes a nice story, and of course, who can disprove it now?
Because the thing is, with this one, being the first one, you owe your current occupation to this, the Speed Twin, don't you? Without it, there wouldn't have been the Bonnevilles, the Tiger 100s and all the rest of it. And I think we can all recognise within that engine is the components that were carried right through to the end.
It all started here.
And so the big difference with this one, all-iron engine?
Yes, this is one of the early 6-stud motors as well. Later on, when we found that the cylinder base nuts were cracking and coming off at this point on the outside of the crankcase, it was decided that the cylinder barrel ought to be held on by another 2 additional 3/8 nuts and studs to keep it more secure.
I I'm now joined at the National Motorcycle Museum by Colin, who's the restoration manager for the museum. And behind me here is a Triumph 1923. Colin, this is basically a Model H used in the First World War, is it?
Well, it was developed from Model H. It was actually, this was when Triumphs were trying to get a more sporting image, and they located the help of a very famous man at the time, Sir Henry Ricardo, that's correct, and he tuned the engine and converted it to an overhead valve, and this sports a 4-valve head, which was very new for the time.
Yeah, unheard of really, wasn't it?
Of course,
yeah.
Yes. And his name was actually put to it, and so this was known as the Triumph Ricardo, and had a famous nickname as the Triumph Ricky.
Right. So would that have been like the sort of Bonneville of its time then?
It would have been the Bonneville of the mid-20s, yes.
Yeah. Something for all the lads to
yes,
have. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Something else with this that was very new for its time, it actually had electric lighting. Yes,
yes. The electric lighting would have only been introduced maybe 2 years earlier in this machine, and for a machine to support electric lighting would cost quite a fair amount of money as compared to the acetylene lighting. This one has got the very ornate dynamo, very expensive unit for the day, and with a battery fitted at the rear.
The beautifully constructed chain case, Colin, was that unusual for its time?
It would have been one of the first Triumphs to use the fully enclosed chain case, and which was copied and followed by nearly every other manufacturer from thereafter.
Was that an oil-filled clutch case as well, primary drive? I mean,
yes, it would have been up to the oil would have been put into level.
And what would those be? Cork clutch plates in?
Yes.
There? Yeah.
Yes.
So you have to keep those well wetted with oil.
Yes.
So they wouldn't last any time at all, would they?
True.
Now every week on Two Wheels Better, somebody has the really bad job of going out, test riding the bikes and finding out just how good they are. And that's me. Well, it's a hell of a job, but somebody's got to do it. This week I'm at Robinson's in Rochdale, and this is a BMW F650. This is the bike that, well, it was introduced in 1993 at the Frankfurt Motor Show, and it's really the bike that BMW see as an entry-level machine into the world of BMW. And something I should point out, just to make you all rush out and buy one, is that this comes as standard with a main stand, and that's something that you don't normally find on this type of machine. Connoisseurs to BMW will notice immediately that this is the only one that doesn't employ a shaft drive. Instead, there's an O-ring chain, which is probably more logical on this type of machine. The F650 engine is a single-cylinder 4-valve water-cooled unit with double overhead cam. There's a 5-speed gearbox, and that's actually housed within the same lump. And interestingly, this engine doesn't really have an oil sump as such. Instead, the 1.5 litres of oil required is actually incorporated into the top part of this tubular frame. Suspension on this is pretty conventional, as you would expect. At the front you've got 41mm telescopic forks, and to the rear wheel is suspended on a delta box swinging arm, and there's a centrally mounted single shock which is fully adjustable. The brake-in at the front is a single disc with a twin piston floating caliper, and exactly the same at the rear, but you only get one piston in that caliper. A price of around just over £5,500, and that compares fairly well with other bikes in this class, namely Honda's Transalp and the Dominator and the Aprilias. And with a full tank of fuel, it weighs 189 kilograms. And it's not quite full, but there's plenty there to see if it's any good. Here's an example of off-road riding with the wrong kind of tyres. Mind you, if you're a white knuckle freak, you might enjoy the feeling of the bike sliding all over the place. Any prolonged dirt riding definitely requires intermediate tyres. The engine is torquey and it's smooth, with the power coming in predictably throughout the revs, with no nasty shocks. In fact, it's perfect for the kind of person BMW are aiming at with this model. Where this bike excels is on the twisty country lanes, where with its sharp handling and responsive motor, it'll beat anything else in its class. riding position is excellent, and you certainly won't get saddle sore, whether you're whizzing round the lanes or trudging through the city. This machine is one of the best all-rounders on the market. Back with another empty petrol tank. Great fun this, Hugh. I like it a lot. Nice road bike to ride, but this colour, lime green.
Yeah, it certainly gets you noticed.
It does get you noticed. I mean, it's not exactly my cup of tea, but I think...
No, some people do like it, but there are other colours in the range, obviously black and white, and red, the most popular of the colours.
Right, yeah, racy red. Right, now this, it says BMW, it's got BMW badges all over it, but it's not a pure thoroughbred BMW, this, is it?
Well, it is a pure thoroughbred BMW, but it's not built in the Berlin factory.
Right, that's what I mean.
It's built the machine is assembled in Italy, but the engine is built by an Austrian company called Rotax.
Right.
But everything is to BMW's own design.
Right, sure, yeah. And there's quite a few bits and pieces that you can buy afterwards to stick on this thing. Luggage.
Absolutely, yeah. We've got luggage, full luggage kit, side panniers and top box. Ever popular heated grips, and also you can get hand guards as well, which do two things: they keep the wind off, and also if you're on country lanes or off the road, they stop the trees hitting your hands.
Right, yeah.
Slightly larger screen if you're into longer distances. Yeah,
smashing. Well, it's a good looking bike. Now, I mentioned before, Hugh, that I said this is what BMW see as their entry-level machine into their world. So who exactly are they aiming at with a bike like this?
They're aiming at, obviously, people who have recently passed the test. And next year, when the new test laws come in, they are actually introducing a 34 brake horse version of it to comply with the new regulations.
Right. And this one's 48 brake horsepower.
This one is full power, yes.
Right, smashing. Well, we're going to be seeing a few more of these on the road next year, no doubt. Well, join me next week. I'm going to be raiding another showroom and pinching something else for an afternoon. I'll see you then.
Riding in the winter, not everyone is a summertime biker, and there's a couple of guys here who are all-weather merchants, or so they say. Is this true, fellas?
It certainly is, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and what do you ride? The BMW?
BMW, yeah.
And what about you?
Yeah, I ride all year round, yeah. Ride the GSXR.
A GSXR, that's a pretty smoky tool on icy roads as well, isn't it?
Well, depends whether you can handle it or not.
And what about you? Yours is the K, isn't it?
Yeah, K1, yeah.
Yeah.
Got the ET grip, so it's... get a lot of warmth off the engine, so it's not too bad.
And both your bikes are looking incredibly clean at the moment. I mean, what do you do? What's your secret of keeping bikes clean in the winter? Because the salt's a sud, isn't it?
Well, just wash
Sorry about that, folks.
Just wash it down as soon as you get off it, and keep an eye on it, that's all.
Yeah.
Just get it all off straight away.
And what about yourself? You have a good hose down when you get home?
Yeah, I normally jet wash it.
Yeah.
Yeah, just as long as you're careful with the electrics and that. Once you've been out, give it a good jet wash and it's all right.
You could tell people to keep that jet washer away from spindles as well, and you've got to keep away from your wheel bearings. Yeah. I know it's fatal.
Just give it a general wash over without actually going too deep with the jet wash. You're all right.
Yeah.
You start getting a little bit close with the jet wash, you're going to cause starting problems.
Well, thanks very much, lads, and I wish you safe riding through the winter, and keep watching the programme.
Yeah,
thank you. Bye bye.
Well, welcome to Wayne's Bits. Don't know where Wayne is, he's never on time, he's very unpunctual, our young Wayne. Hard luggage, he was going to talk about this week to you, so I'll have to do it. I'm no great expert on hard luggage, it's all really down to experience, but these things are great. You can get all sorts of things in them. They're even big enough to fit a full face head. Ah!
Haha! I'm ahead of you, Paul, I'm ahead of you.
You are?
What do you mean I'm not punctual? I've been here flipping ages.
Right, well, so you're going to do this?
Yeah, I'm going to get out of here now, because it's my job, you know, this bit.
I'll go then, shall I? well, you better do it then.
You better just get off my spot, this is my job, you know.
Shall I go and have a brew?
Yeah, get lost, go on.
Right then. Okay then.
Hello, folks. I'll be with you in a minute. Just get out of here if I can. Hello. Feel a lot better now. Put myself together a bit, you know. Actually, I feel a bit like Wurzel Gummidge, you know, I have to stick a different head on every day. I think I'd pick a better one, wouldn't you, one a little bit more attractive. Luggage. There's absolutely loads of them. Hard ones, soft ones, all sorts. We're going to talk a little bit about the hard ones. Whatever your type of bike, whatever, and whatever size of bike, there'll be a piece of luggage to fit it. The origin of the luggage nowadays seems to be primarily from Italy. Kappa, Givi, which is one of these, Non-Fango. Originally, everybody used to speak of Krauser. They're German. They still exist, they still do a nice range, but not quite as stylish
and as practical and as versatile really as the Italians. And there's a new one on the market called Shad, and that's from Spain. New, don't know a lot about it yet, but maybe in the summer months we'll get to know a little more and let you know what's cooking, what they'll fit and so on. Here's the start of the big one. This is 50 litres of capacity. This box, it's a beautiful design thing, reflector on the back here, isn't just a top box. It's a pannier. It'll take crash helmets in there, 2, no problem at all, and a few other bits and pieces. There's a little pocket here. This pulls off and you can fit manuals or whatever else you want in there, passports and things when you go touring. And this will fit, as I've just said, as a pannier. It's quite remarkable. If you've got 50 litres in one box at the back and 50 litres either side, 150 litres of carrying capacity is not dissimilar to a boot on a Ford Fiesta. So you might not get a person in them unless you cut them up into pieces, but it's got serious carrying capacity. Well, that's the big ones. Let's just go on to this. This is still a Jivvy box, but what they've done here is made it purposely as a top box. It's got a built-in platform on the top, so you can add more to it, a tent or whatever, if you're a bit of a rally buff and go to all the various rallies and such. In here we've got all our bits of paperwork to enlighten the customers to what they can have, price lists and so on and so forth. The capacity is 40 litres, and just for your girlfriend on the back here, it's got a backrest. She could fall asleep wherever you go. As it is with all of these bits and pieces, different colours, different capacities and different styles, but they've got to fit your bike. Now it's how they fit your bike that's important. I'll just move back to this one and I'll take this one off the back here. Press a button, lift it up and off it comes. Dead easy, and it's locked securely. You've got to have a key to get the thing off. This case, it's an aluminium rack, and this is a full wing rack by Jivvy. It has the side platforms that allow you to put side cases on, as we show here, and this top platform. But in addition to this, you can buy just a sports rack, and that has rails that go either side of the bike, just enough to support this platform. When you haven't got a box on, it's not ugly, it's quite pleasing to the eye, it's very, very strong. The passenger could hold on to the back of it, and when you have got a box on, you've got the ability to carry all the luggage you need, and that just clicks on there like that. Turn the key, it's locked, job's a good one.
Right, Smarty, you're talking about all this fancy luggage here now. Luggage for every kind of bike, you said. Now, I've got some good bike tests coming up. Different types of bikes, lots of different types.
Don't suppose you've got me a ride yet, have you?
I'm working on that, I've sorted it out. Yeah.
I know you are, because you've been working on it for such a long time. You're working very hard at it.
Very hard, but
needless to say, go on.
You see, I think we've got a custom bike type thing coming up. So, I mean, I can't put one of these on a custom bike, it's going to look silly.
Not a problem, matey mucker.
Look daft.
They do a rack for them now, you won't believe it, they do. These hard fitting luggage things, they've got frameworks that are even done in chrome for your Viragos, your Ians, Savages, all the custom bikes, they do a framework in chrome.
Right, so you can take that off and it doesn't, not going to look stupid, is it?
No, it just looks like it's part of the bike.
Alright, then, okay, right, just a minute then.
I'll go on, test it now.
Fancy sports bike. I mean, I'm not going to, a Fireblade or something like that, or a
GSX,
you're not going to have one of these things hanging off the side of one of
them.
You're
You're a Baldor or something like that, touring. You're going down to see a race meet, you've got your tent to take, you've got your smalls, the rest of your little bits and pieces.
You have your smalls, don't you?
Hairdryer, don't forget the hairdryer. The bottom line being is you've got to carry some tattle in these big boxes, so they actually do a sports rack. I shall just get you one of the sports racks. Here's one I made earlier. Looks a big thing, but it's got to support a fair bit of weight on the back. So they've got a mainframe. When they're fitted to the bike correctly, they blend in with the bike at the side, inside the old framework and under the plastic. You just see this platform on the top. When you haven't got a box on, it looks quite neat. When you've got the box on, it's firm, strong, takes plenty of weight.
Alright, okay. Big question then. How much? It's got to be pretty expensive, all this
you'd be
fancy,
surprised. You'd be surprised. A framework like that can be, depending on the manufacturer, I've just dropped that, can be anything be £45 up to £85. Obviously different bikes are a little bit more difficult to put on.
Observe, signal, manoeuvre. This is what we learn with. Isn't it wonderful? You should see some of the toys they've got when you come in on a morning and they're playing with these things. That's not true. That's not true. Anyway, over here, there's some candidates who've got their test tomorrow. Who have we got here?
Steve Teasdale.
Hello, Steve.
Hello.
It's tomorrow, isn't it?
It is, yeah, certainly.
Have you just got your time through?
Yep, 1:45.
Now, did you do an intensive?
I've done a 3-day course because I've ridden a bike before, so I thought I was good enough to just take a 3-day and
Okay.
get through with that.
How are you feeling?
Very nervous. We've just watched a simulation of a test, and that's made us all more nervous than we were before. So we're going to go get some more practice now.
The voice isn't really that wibbly, Steve. All the best for tomorrow. Okay, who have we got here?
Hi, my name's Paul.
You got your test tomorrow as well. How are you feeling?
Last one, actually. Pretty nervous.
Do you know what? It's true, because I remember when we watched the video and everyone goes, and the voice sort of goes down there. It goes a bit wibbly. How are you feeling over there? Come with me.
Very nervous at the moment.
I mean, the thing is, I'm asking all these questions. Oh, how else am I expecting everyone else to feel? How have you felt that the lessons have gone?
Very good indeed. Especially the emphasis on the safety aspects, handling the bike, positioning yourself, being aware of other road users.
So do you feel ready?
I think by the end of today, I'll feel a lot more ready than I do at the moment.
Excellent. Sleep well tonight.
Oh, yes.
And finally, over here, who we got?
I'm Mike. Yeah.
Mike, and how are you feeling?
A little bit nervous. I've got the first test as well tomorrow, which makes it even more nerve-wracking. They've all got extra training. While I'm out there, they'll still be training. So,
Were you riding before you came to do your lessons?
Oh, a long time ago, probably about 8 years ago now. So it's the best way to, because it's a safety aspect as well, as Colin was saying there.
Now, what is the importance of having an accredited place to train and a safe place?
It's to do with the professionalism of the company. Each instructor is a full-time instructor, and people get the backing from a company like ourselves. We've got all the equipment to provide for them.
So what do you expect when you first come to CSM and say, I want to ride a motorbike? Where do you start?
Well, the first thing we do is we ask them, have they ever ridden a motorbike before? If they're a total novice and they say no, then we offer them a free 1-hour introductory lesson. For where we take them to a car park, to a motorcycle, kit them up, and actually get them riding around on the bike. Should they already have some sort of experience on a bike, then we then we turn that into a assessment of their ability. There's 3 things that we're really looking for, which is can they balance the machine, how they control the machine, and how they take to instruction. Providing they meet those 3 requirements, then yeah, we shouldn't have a problem.